We're drawing very near the end of Revelation, and as you might imagine, it ends on a high note, a very high note. The cosmic battle is over and done. God has prevailed, and a new era begins. And it all begins with the New Jerusalem. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Friday, November 26th, 2021. Most of Revelation 21 and 22 should be familiar, especially the beginning of Revelation 21. I read it frequently at memorial services because of its hopeful and triumphant tone. Just sit back and let the words flow over you. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "See, the home of God is among mortals. He will dwell with them, and they will be his peoples, and God himself will be with them. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more, for the first things have passed away." Then the one who was seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all things new." Also he said, "Write this, for these words are trustworthy and true." Then he said to me, "It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give water as a gift from the spring of the water of life. Those who conquer will inherit these things, and I will be their God, and they will be my children. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the polluted, the murderers, the fornicators, the sorcerers, the idolaters, and all liars, their place will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death." Glorious. There is more, of course, but this portion about sums it up. For those who remain faithful to God throughout the trials they face, God has prepared an inheritance for them in the New Jerusalem. We usually stop reading there, of course, but John also speaks of the judgment that comes upon those who do not remain faithful, and it's not pretty. We don't read this last portion in memorial services because it would inject a sour note into the time of hope. But for the suffering faithful of John's time, these words would have been a source of immense comfort and reassurance, which, after all, is the whole point of John's letter. Now, about this vision of the New Jerusalem. Remember, this is one more piece of a highly colorful vision. Are we looking for an entire city to come floating down out of the sky? Probably not. The rest of Revelation 21 gives us a description of the city, portions of which are almost certainly not to be taken literally but figuratively. John reports that an angel shows him the city and measures it. The city measures 1,500 miles long, 1,500 miles wide, and, get this, 1,500 miles high. A cube. Moreover, the measurement in the Greek isn't in miles, but in a unit called a stadion. A stadion is a smidge over 600 feet. John says the city measures 12,000 stadia long by 12,000 stadia wide by 12,000 stadia tall. So not only does he describe the city as a perfect cube, but 12,000 units to each side. Remember where we have encountered this number before? In Revelation 7, we saw that there were 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel standing before the throne, and in Revelation, we saw 144,000 martyrs, or 12,000 by 12, standing before the throne. We learned that the number 12, like the number 7, was a number in the ancient world that would have signified wholeness or completeness. The number 12,000, then, would be a way to signify an emphatic completeness or wholeness. So what we're seeing with the New Jerusalem is not an impossibly large city floating down out of the sky, but an indication that this New Jerusalem is perfect in every way. No more a place of warfare, no more a place where the faithful suffer, no more a place where sin defines human existence. So imagine living in a world where evil runs rampant. The good guys always lose, and the government actively hunts you down. I know some people think we're in such a time, but think back to the early Christians, a tiny minority in a brand new religion that no one else really understood. It would have to feel as though the world was out to get you. You almost certainly harbor thoughts from time to time about giving up and giving in to the pressure to conform to Roman rule, including Roman religion. Sure would make life easier. John's description of the New Jerusalem, then, would be a bright and shining symbol of hope and an encouragement to continued faithfulness. I encourage you to read the rest of the description of the New Jerusalem in Revelation 21. Among other things, it's where we get the vision of the pearly gates. One of my very favorite hymns, one that we will sing at my own memorial service, is one from William Walsham Howe, set to a lovely, wonderful tune by Ralph Vaughan Williams. It is "For All the Saints." I leave you with this one today. And now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.